Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, gaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Thursday, February 15th, 2024. This is live stream 1021. Yes. So if you're not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual. Just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I'll usually pontificate a bit about our hobby. But we are certainly not doing any mental heavy lifting or engaging in rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination, just hanging out, having some fun. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live show, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you are a subscriber to the channel and have been for at least 48 hours, you can take part in chat. So if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, maybe there's something you feel we should chat about after the news segment, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is the Motor City Madman himself. Yes, the Madman is with us. He is one of our chat moderators. We've got Wild Hunter, W. Forge, Jose Fernandez, and Chris Lundgren are also kicking off the show here in chat. So good to see everybody. So let's jump on into the news because I've got a nice mix this evening. Now available from Lucky Duck Games is Sweet Mess Pastry Competition. And here's the deets. Welcome to the Sweet Mess Baking Competition. You have worked hard to get here, and the master chef cannot wait to see how you handle his famous recipes. The Sweet Mess kitchen is chaotic and, of course, messy. Work smarter and more efficiently than the other contestants, and you might just come away with the victory. May the best chef win. Throughout the competition, you'll gather ingredients from bowls, mix them together, put them in the oven, and bake them to get awarded. The more recipes you complete, the more skillful you become, and the more cooking points you'll receive. Bake them in the best possible manner to get baking bonus points. Use kitchen tools to aid you and take advantage of random kitchen events. Ready, set, bake. Sweet Mess is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 45 to 90 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $39.99. There is a deluxe edition. Strangely enough, according to Lucky Duck Games, it is available in Europe only, but I have seen it available through some online retailers, and that deluxe edition is $59.99, but it includes plastic trays as well as kind of an increase in component quality. I think some of the discs are made out of plastic. They're not just cardstock. So there is that. I have also heard very good things about this game. A lot of folks in the industry have commented how fun this is and how it's got a nice kind of visual pop to it. I know Tom Vassell enjoyed it. So this is now in stores, as far as I understand. If it's not, it is probably heading into stores in your area as I speak. Matthew Constantine is with us in chat. Said unexpectedly they're here, at least for a bit. And Wild Hunter loved the Ad Astra news piece on last night's episode of the Dispatch. Very cool. We will be getting a look at that. Don't know when. Have no idea. Still heard nothing back from the warehouse over at Free League Publishing. We will find out. Sarah D is also hanging with the gang tonight. She is another of our chat moderators, asking how many people had panic attacks seeing that powdered sugar and syrup so close to the cards. Yeah, that was kind of funny. I was sort of like, oh, yeah, okay. All right. Don't be eating any of that. Playing my games. Moving right along. Currently up on Kickstarter for Mr. B Games is the return of a classic. That's right. I'm talking about Ace of Aces. Here's the scoop. Embark on a unique gaming journey with our World War I dogfighting game powered by 2 captivating books. Immerse yourself in the era's daring aerial battles where strategy meets adrenaline. These books hold the key to outmaneuvering rivals and claiming victory in the skies. Experience the thrill, rivalry, and courage of pilots from the Great War. It's not just a game. It's an interactive leap into history. Join us and bring those epic duels to life. Ace of Aces Powerhouse Series Deluxe Edition includes 2 books. These are the dogfighting books, as well as a rule book, all in a beautiful slipcase. The slipcase also has an extra drawer to store dice and chips. Playing Ace of Aces is easy. Each player turns to page 170 of their respective book. Choose a maneuver on the bottom of the page. When both players are ready, tell your opponent the page number next to the maneuver chosen. Go to the page your opponent told you to, look at the page reference of your maneuver, then flip to that new page. You and your opponent should be on the same page. And this is what the results of your maneuvers are. If one of the planes is firing, the other plane takes damage. Take 12 damage and your plane is shot down. There is a short Kickstarter video. It is about a minute in length. We'll give you a bit of a closer look at Ace of Aces.
Welcome to Ace of Aces Powerhouse, a World War I aerial dogfighting tabletop game that puts you in the cockpit, battling it out over the skies of France. To set up the game, each player chooses a dogfighting book that represents their plane, takes 12 damage tokens, and turns to page 170. That's it, you're ready to play. Each page is a snapshot of a dogfight, complete with critical information about the position of your opponent. The maneuver chart located along the bottom edge of each page is your guide to the possible maneuvers. The icons represent what you are going to do in the next few seconds of the aerial duel. After choosing a maneuver, call out the page reference for your maneuver, and your opponent will do the same. After going to the page your opponent called out, you find out your maneuver and the associated page number. This page is the final position of your aircraft. Hopefully you've lined up on your opponent and you can blaze away with your guns. Ace of Aces Powerhouse delivers intense dogfighting action in under 20 minutes. It's easy to learn and the ease of play will keep you coming back for more. Are you ready to take on the skies? Back our Kickstarter now and secure your copy of this thrilling game.
Ace of Aces is for 2 players, ages 12 and up. That's my approximation, and plays in around 20 minutes. Ace of Aces Powerhouse Series Deluxe Edition is past the 200% funding mark. It's getting close to 300%. And you can reserve a copy of the 2-book set for a pledge of $59 through March 13th, with an expected delivery in June of 2025. Now, there is an early delivery option where you would get the game in April of 2025 for a $99 pledge. I thought that was a wee bit strange. If you pledge $40 more just to get the game 2 months early, I don't know about that one. So I am very pleased to see this return. We played the hell out of Ace of Aces way back in the day. We played it in high school. We used to play it quite a bit in what we called division, which other schools would call homeroom or like a study period, things like that. And we used to play multiple players because just about all of the members of the Gamers Guild had a copy of Ace of Aces. I did, Elliot did, Scott Weigel did, Tim Phelan did. So what I was kind of curious about, and I was taking a peek, and it's not apparent in the Kickstarter. I don't know if somebody from Mr. B Games might end up seeing this. Maybe, maybe not. I would hope so. But one of the big selling points to Ace of Aces, in my opinion, and something that really gave it tons and tons of replayability, was the rule book that came with it. And the rule book actually had stat blocks for different planes. And there were actually even rules in that booklet. And it wasn't like a really long rule book. It was maybe 16 pages. So it wasn't huge. It was about yay large. But there were campaign rules and you could create your squadrons. And the reason why I think that might actually be part of the equation here is because the slipcase has a drawer for dice and chips. Ace of Aces doesn't use dice in the actual gameplay itself. Do not roll dice. The advanced rules, yes, you started to roll dice. So I'm hoping that this is a true reprint of Ace of Aces. Of course, the game book is in color. It was not in color originally. But I got my fingers crossed big time that is what we shall see. If you've never played Ace of Aces, it is an excellent game. Super easy to learn how to play. And to this day, I haven't played it in, probably 10 years, maybe more. Because I know Elliot, well, at least last I knew of, Elliot still had his copy because we played it one afternoon when I was over by his house years and years ago. But this holds up really, really well. And this is just an absolute excellent game to add to your collection. I still remember page numbers. Page 20 was you flying head on towards your opponent and both of you are firing at close range. If I remember correctly, 36, you were right on somebody's tail and you were firing at them at close range. So, kind of funny. Chris Lundgren says, Jeff, it looks very cool. I love anything World War I. I own a similar board game called Blue Max. Is this one's mechanics similar? No, not at all. Everything is in the book. It is a playbook, essentially. So each page is supposed to be your view from the cockpit. So sometimes, if you're looking behind you or looking to the side, but as you can see from some of the images that I'm sharing there, that's what the page looks like. And then on the bottom of the page or various different maneuvers. You're seeing that now. And then you'll see a page number. So you give your opponent that page number. They go to that page, they look at their maneuver, and it gives them a page number. They gave you a page number from their book. You look at that page, look at your maneuver, and then it gives you a page number. And you're both going to end up on the same page. Chris says, looks cool, but they prefer a game that's more than 2 players. Mad Max, Blue Max is vastly different. Blue Max is a board game. This is not. This is not considered a board game, but loads of fun. Anybody out there who has actually played it in chat might want to chime on in. But this is something that came out in, gotta be 81 or 82. Because I think we were sophomores when we first started playing it. Because we would play it sometimes during our lunch. And I know we didn't spend much time hanging out in the lunchroom, in the cafeteria. We used to always go out to like McDonald's or Heroes, which was the sub place across the street that I used to go to like every day for lunch. They had some of the best sub sandwiches in Chicago. Sadly, they're no more. But yes, I went to Lane Tech High School. So Matthew Constantine says they had at least one copy kicking around at the game store they worked at in the 90s. They definitely played a lot of it, and it was a lot of fun. See, there you go. Matthew's going to agree with me on that. So Kathy Evans and Lord Cost 2000, as well as Martin 7W, GameCat, and friend of the show, Kevin R. Smith, are all with you in chat. Martin 7W says, if you flip the pages fast, you get a moving picture. No, you don't. Don't be misleading people. Now, there is one thing I will point out about Mr. B Games. I am not overly familiar with the company. I have not checked out any of their titles. They do have quite a few games. There are a couple of Kickstarters that they funded that they have not delivered on yet. But I did kind of poke a little deeper. Seems like they kickstart a lot of their games, and everything has delivered at some point. So the 2 unfulfilled Kickstarters, I think, are on the verge of fulfilling. But you know me, I always like being very upfront with you so that you know what's going on. But boy, exciting to know that Ace of Aces is going to return. Sadly, it's going to take a while, but still. Wild Hunter says, I remember a same style gunfighter game and Riding Dragons. Not sure if they came from the same company. The gunfighter game did. So the company, in fact, I think for this Kickstarter, some of the original members, including the designer of Nova, I think it was called Nova Game Designs, got back together. So the company has reemerged alongside Mr. B Games. For some strange reason, I want to say that eventually the Ace of Aces system ended up with Milton Bradley. I could have sworn it was with Milton Bradley. There were a few different editions of Ace of Aces with different planes. So yes, there was the Gunfighter one. In fact, was it called Gunfighter? Because we had that. And I remember it was like, you could be like poking your head through like the swinging doors. I think that was one of them. It was one of the pages. I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering that. But then there was another system. It was the same kind of system, far fewer pages though. And it was, what's it called? It was Lost something. Might have been Lost Saga or Lost Era. I forget what it was called, but it had Lost in the name, and it was the same kind of thing. So you would have, it was a combat game. So you might have a barbarian for one of the books. And I think the books might have clocked in at about 50 pages. And then there was like an orc and mummy and things along those lines, an elf. So that was something else. In fact, funny enough, remember I said I was kind of digging around in this because I wanted to see if those advanced rules and the campaign rules were going to be part of this. There was someone asking a question about that other fantasy series, if maybe they were going to bring that back. And the response was they didn't have the license for it. So Chris Lundgren says they would play it, but harder to get two players for anything historical. Gotta be honest, this, you don't even have to really be a historical war gamer to get into this. We used to have girlfriends play Ace of Aces with us. I mean, it was, just about anybody could pick it up. And it took you 5 minutes, most, to teach somebody how to play. And then, of course, you would start to have some more advanced rules where, you couldn't follow certain maneuvers with other maneuvers. Or so as you see, slow cruising and fast, that would come into play. So you couldn't have a fast maneuver follow a slow maneuver. So it started to get far more strategic. But to learn how to play, it was just pick a maneuver. It's like a little arrow. That's what your plane's doing. That's the movement it's doing. Matthew says, I know what you're talking about, Jeff, the Lost thing. We played a bit of that too. I remember liking that you could buy whatever character you wanted to fight with. Yeah, for some reason, I want to say it was called Lost Ages or something. But Ace of Aces was the one that we really, really played quite a lot. Boy, I have just spent a lot of time talking about Ace of Aces on Kickstarter. Geez, it's probably already another 50% funded just in me talking here. All right, let's talk about some role-playing game news, because also up on Kickstarter is the 5th issue of Gary's Appendix. And I've got the latest from RPG Ramblings. We are back. Hot off the heels of issue number 4, we present a new assortment of articles to inspire your games filled with deep dungeons and horrible dragons. For issue 5, we're getting slimed with a wide range of sticky content, including an article on what exactly one might find in a gelatinous cube, and an expanded bestiary entry for that very same ooze. This is inspired by the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. Gary wrote and collected a vast amount of information, rules, and guidance. Its haphazard nature and perplexing subjects makes it as fresh today as when he penned the work almost 50 years ago. Indeed, Gary's Appendix draws inspiration from the past works of the gaming giants. Gary's Appendix is about our love for the past and our excitement for the future. We do not have the audacity to believe that we can produce a work that matches the magic of the AD&D DMG. Instead, we seek the spirit of that evergreen work by presenting an array of articles that are enjoyable to read, informative to the GM, and useful at the gaming table. Each issue contains a collection of articles written for the OSR by a variety of authors. In addition, Jeff, not me, Jeff, contributes an expanded entry for a collection of monsters from the Old School Essentials collection. Here's a preview of what you're going to find in the upcoming issue. Investigation-Themed Adventures by Travis Miller. A Case for Using Wandering Monsters by John Kaniecki. Legends of the Supernatural Part 2 by Dave Seamark. Hiring a Spy by John Kaniecki. Governments Part 1 by Hannah Wolfram. What is in a Cube by Zach Goins. And The Bestiary which is updated by Jeff Jones. This Kickstarter project is past the 500% funding mark. You can reserve a copy of this 5th issue of Gary's Appendix with PDF for a $16 pledge, or you can grab just the PDF alone for a $3 pledge through February 29th. Expected delivery on both the physical zine and the PDF is this August. And you may recall, I very recently shared a first look video of the first 3 issues of Gary's Appendix, and I will be sharing my review very, very soon. So stay tuned. But if you're kind of curious about what the issues look like, you can always watch my first look video. And there is also a Kickstarter video, but it runs nearly 5 minutes. But it is actually a flip through, a digital flip through of the upcoming 5th issue of Gary's Appendix. Matthew Constantine says Lost Worlds is the name of the combat game. Looks like it passed through a lot of company hands over the years, even Flying Buffalo at one point. I remember when Flying Buffalo had that. But the thing is, I don't remember Flying Buffalo actually creating any new content for it. Chris Lundgren says they found another called Dogfight by Floodgate Games. Well, Floodgate Games tends to make kind of Euro games, Euro-style games. I know I shouldn't use that term. I don't like the term Euro game. It's like I don't like the term Ameritrash. But I think European-styled just sounds a lot less insulting. Wild Hunter says their favorite bit of D&D nostalgia bait is the original Fiend Folio. I've got a copy behind me. It was so weird and different at the time. I gotta say, I was never really a huge fan of the Fiend Folio for a few different reasons. Number one, because I did think it was kind of bizarre. And yes, I understand it was all British submissions as far as I remember correctly. The artwork was a little wonky, but I think the main reason was simply because I was moving away from Dungeons and Dragons when I got it. So that was actually the last of the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons purchases I made when, I was a kid. So to be honest, I didn't buy anything from AD&D until a few years ago when I picked up my Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide, things like that. So quite a bit of time had passed. Let's see, anybody new pop into chat? Just making sure I've said hello to everyone. I don't know, did I say hello to Travis Williams? I think I might have. If not, hello, Travis. Good to see you. All right, on to the next news piece. There is a new print run available for the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition Superpowers Companion. Say that 5 times fast. It has arrived from Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Got a question for the madman after this news piece. But in the meantime, here's the dope on the Superpowers Companion. Few mediums inspire today's gamers like comic books, graphic novels, and movies and television shows based on them. The Savage Worlds Superpowers Companion lets you recreate everything from classic Marvel and DC tales to modern takes like The Boys, Kick-Ass, or Invincible, all in the award-winning Savage Worlds rules system. This 200-page hardcover updates the original Superpowers Companion to be completely compatible with Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. Here's what you'll find inside. A gorgeous new layout by fan favorite Carl Kiesler, a beautiful cover by Aaron J. Riley, all new art by the phenomenal Bien Flores, unique Sopari, Wayne Miller, and more. New character options, edges, and hindrances. New and updated gear like absorption shields, capes with an exclamation point. It's not just a regular cape, but a cape. Cape Fear. A host of weapons for your heroes and villains to bash each other with, and vehicles to get your super team where they need to go in style. All new narrative headquarters rules. Build a unique base for your super team, upgrade it, and deal with the adventurous complications that come with it. Ooh, like the Baxter Building. New setting rules emphasize the nature of superpowered combat, including new power stunts, using the terrain as a weapon, and suggested setting rules to mimic different styles, including four-color, cosmic, gritty, fantasy, horror, and even ultra-violent takes on supers. Every single power has been evaluated, updated, and streamlined. Power types have been redefined, universal modifiers cleaned up and made simpler, and new powers like Deadeye added, all with the standard Savage Worlds point cost system. The Rogues Gallery has been completely overhauled, both in story and powers, to better fit today's comics. Every single one has new art, and many connect to each other, creating a default setting for those who want it and easily ignored for those who don't. From street-level threats to cosmic annihilators and rampaging kaiju, there's a bit of badness here to challenge any super team. There's also items of power. Over a dozen super-powered items give the Game Master rewards for their super team or plot devices for their mad tyrants. Drop a time bomb to rewrite history. Rally beneath a tattered symbol. Beware the devastation seeds. And battle for cosmic supremacy with the crown of the new god. This 200-page hardcover, which includes PDF, carries an MSRP of $39.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. So the question I've got for the madman is this hardcover edition of the Superpowers Companion 4 Savage Worlds Adventure Edition new? I have seen conflicting information. I understand it is available in print. I'm not sure if this was available in print before, because I know the PDF had been out for a while. And I do believe that this was kickstarted. So I don't know. All I know is you can buy it in hardcover now. So some information I saw is this is a new print run. Other information I saw is this is the first time it's available. So I'm like, it's like, okay. It's like, I want to get the news item out there. But I also like to, be correct with what I'm saying or what I share in a news piece. Roll for Combat and Bill N, as well as Kabuki Kid and Marius Smith are joining us in chat. We got a lot of folks hanging out in chat tonight. Wild Hunter says they have the Savage World superpowers. It's good, easy to understand, but they find that Suede is difficult to use for ongoing campaigns. Better for one-shots and short, limited campaigns. Great for beginners. All right, so the Madman has chimed in saying this is new. This is not a new print run. So yes, I did know that there was a companion for the previous edition of Savage Worlds. Wasn't that the deluxe edition? Wasn't that the previous edition of Savage Worlds? Matthew Constantine says, supers aren't really my bag, but I could see Savage Worlds being fun for the genre. Now, there had been a superheroes Kickstarter of a specific setting for Savage Worlds that they ended up canceling, and they're going to retool it. I know that was fairly recent. And the science fiction companion for Savage Worlds Adventure Edition is going to kick off next week. I will have a news piece about that as well. I am still awaiting the Pine Box Middle School. Isn't it Pine Box, Texas? Pine Box, Texas Middle School that is going to be sent out. In fact, I should actually reach out to Jody Black and ask about, because I know she said she was going to send me Pine Box, Texas. I don't know if it's been sent yet. I should ask if she would be interested in sending along the East Texas University, because I understand that the Pine Box, Texas is an offshoot of it. So it's kind of a kids on bikes, sort of horror, role-playing setting. So it's kind of, Stranger Things-ish, where I do know that the Madman himself had run an East Texas University campaign for quite some time, which I do understand is kind of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer sort of setting. Chris Lundgren says they owned the deluxe edition. They bought it on Black Friday for $10. Now they might have to play 2 versions of the role-playing game. But I was told there are still people that played the deluxe edition. As far as I understood, I didn't think the changes were huge. I thought Suede just was streamlining some things. So the Madman says East Texas University is just outside Pine Box city limits. Just a little outside. All right. Fleming Heron is hanging out with us tonight. Says, I must admit, it's probably one of the better implementations for a supers module for a role-playing game system. Wild Hunter says, Suede is really rising as a system. You can play any setting or genre with it. Production and art design are really good. Startup sets are top-notch. Yes, I have reviewed some. And I have my review of The Holler coming soon. I haven't finished reading the adventure that's in the core book. It's the only thing that I need to finish up so I can review that. And I also have the Pathfinder Companion, the Savage Pathfinder Companion review. That I have finished reading. I just need to shoot it. That's all. So, yes, I like Savage Worlds. In fact, depending on what genre I would be looking to run, I would consider Suede as a system that I would run a role-playing game for. I don't know if it would be my go-to for fantasy. It would maybe be my go-to for something that was a little offbeat, like, say, The Holler or Deadlands. I like Deadlands. In fact, I really liked the Deadlands Companion. I just recently reviewed that. Only thing that I dinged it for was I thought the adventure that was included with it was kind of a stinker. So, Miriam Smith says, I get Savage Worlds confused with Forbidden Lands for some reason. Forbidden Lands is a really good system also. I should point out, I've got a lot of reviews that I'm kind of hanging on to. I think March is going to be a review month where I am going to do my best to share a new review every day of the week. Yes. Or at least 5 reviews in a week. So Wild Hunter says, Holler and Deadlands are their favorite Savage Worlds Adventure Edition settings. They haven't played either with the guys yet, though. Flaming Heron says they like the Savage Worlds Horror Companion. That was one that I was also going to see if Jody Black would be interested in sending along. The superpowers as well as the Horror Companion, because I'm curious about the Horror Companion, because I could see running Lovecraftian adventures with Savage Worlds. I'm just curious if they have like any sort of like sanity, rules in that companion. Yeah, things like that. All right, let's wrap up with the final news piece of the evening. Now available in print and PDF is the Traveler Companion 2024 update. And I've got the latest from Mongoose Publishing. The Traveler Companion is a compilation of variant and alternate rules. Variant Traveler creation systems allow specific tailoring, whilst alternate combat rules introduce hit locations and wound severity. Rules for hunger, thirst, temperature, atmospheric, and water pressure effects make the universe more realistic, not to mention more hazardous. Encounters with animals and vehicles are also covered, along with the consequences of law-breaking on personal and starship operation scales. The game universe is expanded with advice on using tools such as Traveler Map and the Traveler Wiki, interpreting UWP data to flesh out a world, and additional spaceport types. The companion also contains rules for starship operations in gas giant atmospheres, traveling slower than light and in jump space, and making space travel more hazardous with minefields, missile salvos, and new starship weapons. Also included are rules for entirely different styles of play, such as narrative task resolution and the mundane events resolution system. The Traveler Companion is a complete toolkit allowing referees to pick and choose inhabitants. English, chef. Try English for a change. The Traveler Companion is a complete toolkit allowing referees to pick and choose enhancements to their own campaigns, giving greater depth and weight to their adventures. The 184-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $49.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $29.99. And as always, I always love seeing new Traveler releases or updates to Traveler. So I know some folks out there are not fans of the updates that have been coming out. I think we started to see them, I think it was 2022 that we saw the core book updates. But the reality is, it's not as if there's tons of additional content. I think it's more along the lines of just cleaning some things up, because Mongoose Publishing does have a bit of a nasty habit of having errata and grammatical errors in their books. Wild Hunter says, "Come on, Mongoose, why is everyone not playing Traveler? It's the best, easiest to play science fiction out there, tried and tested, should be as big as D&D, but for science fiction instead of fantasy." Behorn is with us. Good to see you hanging out once again. I agree. I really like the Mongoose Traveler 2nd edition. I say it all the time. There's a reason why I'm always sharing news pieces about the Traveler releases that come out. You know, I think part of it is Mongoose isn't real huge, at least as far as I understand, at sending a lot of review copies of stuff out, unless you are Seth Skorkowski, but he covers a lot of Traveler. So I had the starter set sent to me, so I shared coverage of that. I shared my review of that. I said it before, and I gave it a good score. I really liked it. I guess maybe Mongoose didn't care for my style. I don't know. But that was kind of it. Never saw anything from them again. One of these days, I should reach out. But the thing is, now there's just so many Mongoose Traveler 2nd edition releases out there. I would kind of want to look at all of them, or as many of them as I could. Mongoose Publishing probably wouldn't want to send me a big box of Traveler stuff. Although, as I mentioned, I have a package that is in transit from Cubicle 7 Entertainment, and I actually double-checked the count on the number of books. It is 13. There are 13 books in transit from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. So as I had mentioned before, we are going to see a big chunk of Cubicle 7 Entertainment coverage very shortly. It's supposed to arrive next Tuesday. Although, strangely enough, according to the post office, it's here in Yorkville. But if it is like media mail, they tend to sit on those. Chris Lundgren says, give them Star Frontiers, prove me wrong. I would take Traveler over Star Frontiers any day of the week. Matthew says, I'm really enjoying playing Mongoose's Traveler. Very cool game. Much easier to get into than I thought it would be. I mean, it is pretty simple. I mean, you are looking at just your action resolution, 2 6-sided dice. So, and I think I said hello to Kabuki Kid, maybe not, but Kabuki Kid is with us. Yes, Double K is in the house. All right, that is it for the news tonight. And of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG a few moments ago. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com. First, click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of most sales. And those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do go a long way into keeping thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can always buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Refreshing. And very recently, the Madman, Marius Smits, and Kevin King stopped by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make donations. So a big thanks to them. And yes, there are a lot of folks out there who utilize the banner ads and or visit paypal.me/thegaminggang. So thank you very, very kindly to all of you who do that. All right. The Dispatch is going to continue in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
McDonald's is our kind of place. It's such a happy place. Happy place. A clean and snappy place. McDonald's is our kind of place. It's such a happy place. McDonald's is our kind of place. Your kind of place.
McDonald's believes in getting food to your kids before they get to each other. Such good food, too. McDonald's famous French fries, triple thick creamy shakes, lean beefy cheeseburgers and hamburgers, icy cold soft drinks. And here's a plus, spill-proof lids on all beverages. Another plus, napkins that are big as a bib. Quality, cleanliness, extra care service. That's McDonald's. A total value that's unmatched anywhere.
McDonald's is our kind of place. It's such a happy place. McDonald's is our kind of place.
Your kind of place.
Here's the new Star Wars X-Wing fighter. And the Star Wars TIE Fighter. Spaceships and Luke Skywalker sold separately, batteries not included.
I'll get you this time, Luke. Reactivate X-Wing.
Both have flashing lights and sound.
Hey, there go the solar panels. And Darth Vader's got away. The Force is with me. Luke Skywalker wins again.
Kenner's Star Wars X-Wing Fighter, TIE Fighter, and action figures all sold separately.
You know, people who don't drink Wilkins coffee just blow up sometimes.
Oh, that's a lot of...
See what I mean?
Greetings, all you selling freaks, you hyper-alcoholic geeks. We welcome you with bated breath to yet another year of death, of murder foul neath full moon's rise, as monsters haunt and terrorize. New creature features now we bring to help us do our horror thing. And backed by popular demand, our older fiends from Monsterland, daughters, sons of Frankenstein, mummies, werewolves, all divine, will haunt the midnight Vidicon, and Channel 9 will get it on.
Yes, creature features. You may recall, it was not that long ago, I was talking about the opening to creature features when I was a little kid. It used to scare the bejesus out of me. And then I would run back in and I would watch the movie. I do remember that being on Saturday nights, and it was on WGN, and a lot of times on Saturday nights, my parents would be over at my grandparents on my mom's side, and they would play like penny nickel poker and stuff like that. And my brother and I would be in sort of my grandfather's kind of study. It was like this weird side room. Talked about it a little bit before. It was almost like an enclosed porch, but it wasn't an enclosed porch, but it was sort of the size of that. It was very narrow. And a lot of times when that would come on, when Creature Features came on, my grandfather would say, deal them out, and he'd come over and he'd watch, some of the movie with us. So that was actually a segment that was shown to potential advertisers for WGN. And that was from 1973. And it's pretty funny because these now WGN was not a UHF channel because it's Channel 9, but it was sort of like that in the Chicago area. And it was kind of funny because the smaller channels, smaller networks like Channel 32 and Channel 44, they would have these sales, I guess like conventions for a couple of days where they would have people come in, advertisers come in, and they would pitch them. So that was from a pitch, because the actual opening for Creature Features is nowhere to be found. There have been some recreations that people have made online, but they're just recreations from people's memories. I do want to point out that that voice that you heard, that's just for, the sales, for the sales department. That's why if you listen close, there was something about alcoholic geeks or something. I was like, what? And Wild Hunter says, Channel 9 will get it on. Yes. So I thought I would share that with you. Just going back in time. Oh, Chris Lundgren says they used to get creeped out by the opening sound of CBS Radio Mystery Theater, the creaking door, which is actually from Inner Sanctum Mysteries. As a lot of people refer to it, Inner Sanctum, but that's not actually the correct title of the show. It is Inner Sanctum Mysteries. Yeah, I know a bit about old-time radio because I talk about it all the time. If you want to be a good game master, you should listen to old-time radio shows because they really help to teach you how to paint a picture with words and words alone. Granted, yes, sound effects too, but now I'm not saying that every old-time radio show is well suited for that. No, because there's some where it was like, Barbara, do you see the man across the street in the gray suit? Oh, the one holding the newspaper and the umbrella? What? But then again, you had to paint the picture. All you had was words to do it. But I talk about that all the time. The other thing I wanted to point out was that McDonald's commercial. That McDonald's commercial actually came out the year I was born. So that was from 1967. And I saw somebody had asked, was that before Ronald McDonald? No, actually, it was not. But I don't think McDonald's got really heavy into Ronald McDonald until the mid to late 70s. Because I remember Ronald McDonald, I shouldn't say remember, I have seen commercials with Ronald McDonald where he is just like Bozo the Clown. He's just a guy standing there talking about McDonald's restaurants and stuff like that. Kathy Evans says old radio shows were original theater of the mind. Yes, they were. Matthew Constantine says, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, which is considered by many to be one of the final old-time radio shows to ever be produced. In fact, I believe it's the date of the final episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, which people look at as the final death knell of old-time radio. I think, if I remember right, it's yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke is excellent. As a radio show that utilized sound and in many ways a minimalist approach to sound, really, really well done. X-1 was fantastic, Matthew points out. Yeah, pretty good. Had X-1, and then you had, the other really famous science fiction. Gosh, I'm trying to remember because it's almost similar in its title. Dimension X. Dimension X, 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 X. But back to that McDonald's ad. This is how strange memory works. Now, figured that commercial came out in 1967 with that song, and I would highly doubt that song was around for too many years. The McDonald's is your kind of place. I still remember a song we sang as little kids, and it went, McDonald's is my kind of place. It's filled with rattlesnakes. They throw the food at you. They serve you dirty goo. Last time I went there, they stole my underwear. McDonald's is my kind of place. Yep. Why the fuck I remember that? I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. Just like when we were kids, I don't even think I was in grammar school yet. Maybe I was. My brother had a tape recorder, and we used to tape, like we would create shows. Elliot and I used to do this as well. But of course, you know, at that point I don't even think, I think we were out of high school when we would do that. But I'll never forget, one of them was Dingling School. I don't know. Flaming Heron says, your underwear, though? Hey, man, it's just the song I remember. I was a little kid. I didn't write it. I'm sure somebody did that. Kabuki Kid says, love that. I remember that McDonald's Goof song. Funny enough, though, I will guarantee you that people out there who are around my age probably had the same thing. They probably had a silly-ass McDonald's song based to that music. Because I would take a guess that may have been a thing for, quite a while. But I mean, I think by the mid-'70s, though, that was dead. The whole McDonald's is your kind of place song. Kabuki Kid says, give kids back then a tape recorder. Crazy stuff happened. Yeah, I remember Elliot and I doing some pretty wacky stuff. All righty then. So, not really anything popping that, kind of caught my eye at all. So, Chris Lundgren says, War of the Worlds with Orson Welles was so believable that it created a panic. The panic has kind of been overblown. So it wasn't as big a deal as it has been portrayed. I know, it's shocking. See, here you go. Something that most people probably aren't aware of. So you have to keep in mind that one of the reasons why the newspapers railed on Orson Welles and CBS for War of the Worlds is because newspapers did not like radio. Radio was stealing newspapers' thunder. In fact, at that point in time, a lot of newspaper owners thought radio was going to put them out of business. That's why for a long time, newspapers did not print radio schedules on their pages. I don't know how many of you out there know that back in the 20s, probably into the 30s, newspapers did not print radio schedules in the newspapers. Then once they realized that, hey, you know what? Radio actually can benefit us. It's like, oh, okay, all right. So they came to kind of an agreement there. I think it was mainly William Randolph Hearst who was against the radio schedule being printed in the newspaper. But so radio killed the newspaper stars, says Kabuki Kid. Yes. GameCat's asking, sorry if I have talked about this before, but they're curious if I ever had a crack at designing my own tabletop role-playing game. Well, I started a series that was, basically in response to the open game license fiasco. And I think I did 2 videos, maybe 3. Just, hey, let's design a game. But, it wasn't very popular. So I was like, all right, okay. Yeah, all right, whatever. But, I mean, it was like an OSR game. And it was obviously enough going to utilize mechanics from a variety of different games that were out there. Not too dissimilar from like a Shadow Dark approach where it was, rules light. So GameCat says, I'll go back and watch them. I mean, they were all right. I mean, give you an example. The attributes would have really, like your attribute score would have been far more important than it happens to be in most role-playing games. So it was, in fact, I want to say, I think, if I remember correctly, I think the Black Hack uses this roll under. So not equal to and under, but under. So you would roll under your attribute to succeed at something that would be associated with that attribute. So as an example, if you had a strength of 14, you would roll a 20-sided die, and you would need to get 13 or less. And something like that makes those attribute points far more important than you see in a lot of role-playing games where it's simply, so 9 to 11 is 0, no bonus. Oh, but you've got 12 to 15, that's +1. Well, in a system where you're rolling attributes and you're rolling under, there is a huge difference between a 12 and a 15. And the reason why I didn't want to do equal to or lower than is because I wanted to make sure that there was always a chance of failure, because it was going to be an old school kind of vibe to the proceedings. And if you had something that gave you, say, +1 to your attribute, that was kind of a big deal. So, but yeah. And then the magic system was going to be a point spend. So it was not going to be spell slots or anything like that. It would be that you would have so many points that you would spend on your spells and so on and so forth. I mean, like I said, it wasn't going to be overly complex. Flaming Heron says, sad you stopped doing those videos, Jeff. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny, but it's not as if the various different series of videos I was doing have ended. So like the Why You Should Play series, that hasn't ended. It's just I hadn't had an opportunity to share video yet. But that will return, so we'll have that. The Paizo preview, I didn't bring that to an end. I didn't get anything from Paizo. So it was like, what the hell's going on? And then, I'll give you a great example. What's arriving for February seems to be a flip mat. It's like, okay, or another prime example, I just had got the latest Paizo shipment, and I want to say that it arrived on January 31st. So it's like, okay, well, I can't do a January video, right? Be like, okay. But once they start, releasing stuff earlier in the month and enough of it, yeah, I will have that again. But as an example, the reason why I ended up shooting a standalone video for Starfighter Scoured Stars is because that stuff showed up the last day of the month. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. So Chris Lundgren says they bought the latest version of Paranoia. Have I played that version yet? I have any thoughts? No. Once again, they're a Mongoose Publishing release. I just discussed how I reviewed the starter set for Traveler, and that was it. So, no, I have not had an opportunity to check it out. I've said this before, and I do share news pieces for Paranoia releases. I've always just had the impression that Paranoia was more entertaining to read than actually play or run. Now, is that going to be the case here? I don't know. But that, going back to the West End Games releases, I used to pick them up. Come on, I've said this umpteen times. I would pick up loads and loads of different role-playing games. Never ran them. I read them. Never ran any of them. I just enjoyed reading role-playing game releases, and I still do. But Paranoia always struck me as just a far more clever read than it would be to play. And I would probably say the reasoning behind that is that I'm sure players wouldn't go in the direction that was kind of game planned by the adventure. So Matthew Constantine says, I haven't played Paranoia in a long time. They did have a lot of fun, but the guy running it was a nut, which helped. Yeah, I would think that would help. Wild Hunter says, Paranoia is best played with players old enough to drink alcohol. And I would say it's probably best played by players who get the joke. That where it's like, okay, you know you're going to burn through player characters, and you know other player characters are going to rat you out or exterminate you or what have you. So if you are the sort of player who gets your feelings hurt easily, probably not a good idea to play Paranoia. All righty then. So that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my Modifius Entertainment Week continuing earlier today with my first look at the Fragged Empire 2nd Edition setting guide from the aforementioned Modifius Entertainment and Design Ministries. And of course, tune in tomorrow because I will be sharing a first look at Dune Adventures in the Imperium, the great game, Houses of the Lanstrad. So stay tuned for that. I got a lot of goodies. In fact, I'm going to double dip tomorrow because I am also going to share my first look at Castles and Crusades in Undying War from Troll Lord Games. So stay tuned for that also. Yes. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you and tip of the cap, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company too. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for watching any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang YouTube channel. Of course, when you're not watching videos here on YouTube, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Everybody, enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.